You are listening to CrossTalk, a safe place to discuss addiction, recovery, harm reduction, and everything in between. Support for this podcast comes from the Kentucky Opioid Response Effort and Advocates of Recovery. Content and production by the team at Turning Point Recovery Community Center. Now, buckle up and get ready for the show.
Welcome to CrossTalk Recovery, the recovery podcast that supports all forms of recovery. I'm Matt Lewis, and I'm here with
Sam Peterson.
I'm Mike Bogan.
And Andy Wallace.
And they're here today from Neartown. You guys work out there. I don't know you guys, and I've never been to Neartown. I've only been through one recovery program, which was Centerpoint. So I'm kind of curious about what you guys do out there. Could you tell us a little bit about Neartown?
Yeah, sure, man. What we are is a short-term residential treatment center for men. We call it short-term because a lot of treatment centers they say 28 days, and that's not what we do. It's all based on assessment, and it's person-centered. So each treatment plan is kind of individual. But I'll go back and give you a little bit of history. We started as strictly a 12-step model. We got guys in there, and we just took them through the steps. Out of the big book, just page by page in sequence, and we tried to do that in about a month's time. The issue with what we were doing at that time is it just wasn't very sustainable. There's not a lot of guys in treatment, or not a lot of guys want to go to treatment and can afford $5,000 or $6,000.
Right. I know when I went to treatment, I didn't have $5,000 or $6,000. So
yeah. No, you could not get me into treatment with $5,000.
I used it as an excuse for a long time. I was like, I can't afford treatment. That's why I'm not going. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we kind of progressed from there. We had to, that wasn't working long term, and so we just, Jeremy, he's our executive director. Yeah. He just started working like crazy and looking in different directions of what we could do, and Medicaid seemed to be the way to go for our area. And in doing that, it brought in a lot of new things into what we were doing, clinical side, medical, but we were still able to kind of keep it near town and stay on the 12 steps. So now it's just it's 12 steps with more. It's got just a lot. It made it so that we could involve a lot more people and have more resources and.
You all are operating a dog sanctuary as well, right?
Yes,
that's cool.
We've got a dog rescue as well as a dog graveyard.
I like that.
There's a lot of dogs out there.
Yeah.
I always enjoy transporting the guy out that way when I get to, because I know I'm going to get to pet at least 3 or 4 dogs before I leave.
Well, yeah, I've heard it was really beautiful out there. It's like out in the woods. You have a pond or something. That's really cool. I would have liked that. We didn't even get to go in the woods till I graduated. That's behind Centerpoint, and there's nothing pretty out there. How far do you guys usually make it through the steps at your program?
So what we're doing now is the first 3 steps. When we started originally, we were trying to take people through the whole 12 steps, which was awesome, when we were able to do that. But it's pretty easy to do that when you have 3 guys in your treatment center, but you start putting, 16 guys into this and adding clinical and adding all this other stuff that we're doing. We try to be really a solid first 3 steps. That's what we do.
Awesome.
That's cool.
I know I've been out there a few times, and it really is. It's out in the woods. It's peaceful, quiet. But y'all also have recovery housing. Is that correct?
Yeah, sober living.
Awesome.
You know what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, we got sober living. That's actually how Neartown started. Jeremy, our director, he started the sober house. Gosh, it's 8. I don't know the exact number, but it was 8 or 9 years ago, I think.
Awesome.
That's actually how I got involved with Neartown. My journey started long before I got sober. You know what I mean? I landed at the sober living house about, 6-7 years ago. Went through there, and that was actually what made me want to be a part of recovery, was that experience. I had a really good experience over a 3 or 4 month period at that sober living house. At the time, the treatment center didn't exist. But I built some bonds in that area through that experience, and then, went back out, and I heard on your other one you called it had to get some more education. Yeah, I did that for a few years, and then I was just in a real bad spot, and Jeremy and his partner at the time, Kenny, reached out, and they're like, hey, do you want some help? We've got some more stuff going on. So.
And most of the people that work out there are in recovery as well, correct?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah.
Just about everybody. There's a couple that aren't, but the cool thing is that they're able to relate to people in recovery in a way that I didn't realize possible, man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know. I get jealous every time I go out there in the summertime. They don't have a dress code like we do. They get to wear shorts and tennis shoes to work. And I go out there and everybody's in shorts and tennis shoes. It's all laid back, and I'm like, man, that's nice.
That is nice.
Pretty casual out there.
It gives you a nice family feel, though.
Absolutely,
I think the last time I was out there, the guys were out there playing cards and stuff. It was during their break time, so I mean, it was a good group of guys out there. And y'all, what are y'all job titles? Y'all both recovery coaches, or do you have different job titles?
We're both peer support specialists, but that's not really what we do. I mean, we have a peer support standpoint, but I'm a lead guy, and this is my supervisor. He's guide supervisor?
Yeah, that's technically my title, is the guide supervisor, but honestly, Mike does most of that. He recently took about 80% of my responsibilities.
Awesome.
And I'm starting to do some compliance work, health and safety inspection, accessibility plan. These are just a couple of things I'm working on right now. They didn't change my title when they changed my responsibilities, but it's cool. Like, my life has become significantly less stressful since Mike has gotten involved, and he's doing a great job.
We'll be right back.
I'm Joe. This is Christy. We're from Neartown Recovery Center. We are a state licensed short-term residential treatment center for men with addiction. If you're hopeless and broken and can't quit on your own, come join our family and let us love you until you can love yourself.
Give us a call at 270-489-2594 and find us on Facebook under Neartown Recovery.
Very nice.
Y'all have a step work group coming up real soon, correct, too?
Yes, we have a 12-step workshop. April 22nd and 23rd, we have Scott L. and Barclay R. from Nashville. These guys do this. It's if you had a professional step worker, it would be Scott L. So they come up, they break down the steps for us, and I think they even add some comedic value.
Awesome.
And,
Yeah, I heard they were real good. I tried to go see them when they weren't supposed to be here a little while ago, and snow or something kept them from coming.
Yeah. I talked to Scott since then. He said he felt terrible about it, and he wished he wouldn't have made the decision that he had made. But hopefully they'll be there at ours, and if not, we got a contingency plan. We got a whole weekend of stuff. We got some raffles we're doing. We're giving away $1,000 cash. We're giving away a 65-inch smart TV.
Awesome.
We got a giant envelope full of gift cards. We got a date night package. We want people to see, especially new people, that recovery's fun. It's awesome. It's not boring. You know what I mean?
I talk about that all the time, how important fun is in recovery.
That's what we try to, because we work with people off the street, new into recovery, or just out of places, 28-day rehabs a lot of times. And I always try to stress that there is fun in recovery. It can be had. Because I don't know about y'all guys, but when I first got sober, I didn't think that could happen. But that's why we do the recovery hikes. We're doing the trip to Holiday World, those kind of things. And I like that y'all are doing the step works and getting these guys out. And what I really like about your program is that you have the recovery housing along with it. So if a guy needs extra help, it's there. I've also known you've all sent some guys to long-term out of there as well. So I know that y'all are near town, but you work so great with all the other recovery resources in the area. And I know that's something we're both big on, is trying to bring this recovery community together. And I know y'all know more about Murray than I do, because it's a little out of my scope, but working with y'all, I get to know more about it. So that's what I'm real grateful for that.
Yeah, we want to build relationships with everybody in the recovery community. I mean, starting in Western Kentucky, you guys have a lot of things to offer over here. And I think if we all work together, we can kind of chisel away at this thing. You know, a lot easier than if we just tried to do it alone, or if you just try to do it alone.
You know, that's what I like about where I work, is because it's open to all pathways. So it brings so many different people and different forms of recovery together. Real quick, what is your favorite thing about working in recovery? Because it's not for everybody. You know, I've always said either working in recovery is going to enhance it, or it's not, because it's two-edged sword sometimes that way. Some people don't respond well to working in recovery. It's just too much on top of, if they suffer from substance use disorder. But what is the biggest benefit to y'all working in recovery?
Well, it's definitely not for everybody. There's not really one biggest benefit. I love it all across the board. I love seeing people, when they crawl in the building, green and miserable and hopeless and broken, and then seeing that same person in 3 or 4 weeks, a completely different person. That's my favorite thing about it. If it had to come down to one thing, that's my favorite thing. And then after that, see them out in meetings, see them a year later picking up a chip, getting their kids back, getting a car.
That's it, good stuff.
I mean, yeah, the good dope, as Jeremy would say. And it really is. It really is. I've worked at other treatment centers, and I liked it, but we kind of had a philosophical falling out at some places. But with where I'm at now, it's I can go to work when I'm not working. You know what I mean? That's how cool Neartown is. People show up early to work. People come in on their day off just to be around it. It's our people out there. Andy said most of our people are in recovery. Everybody but 2 people's in recovery. And they actively work a program. We're just good people, and we just bounce off each other. We use teamwork. We do everything that a well-oiled machine should do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing about working out there is the laughter. I mean, in recovery, I've experienced more I've experienced more laughter in 3 or 4 years of recovery than I had my entire life preceding that, and I think what it is feeling at home where you're at, having like, it doesn't feel like work where we're at. It feels like we're going to be with our family. It's like a second family, you know what I mean? That's my favorite thing about it, is it the people, for sure.
I agree completely, and it's so weird. I've noticed everybody I know who comes through recovery, they always comment on the laughter and the being able to laugh and smile again and have fun, realize you can have fun sober. I was at church the other day, and a guy was up there giving his testimony, and he was talking about when he went to a recovery center I don't even know about, that it was the belly laughter that kept him there. And that's a common thing through everybody. It's amazing the healing power of laughter, and that just makes you okay, this feels good. If I keep doing this, maybe I can keep feeling like this. It's an amazing thing.
I think you can really tell when you're in a good spot in recovery, when you walk in and you have that family atmosphere. It just feels like a home, And if the people that work there feel that way, then you can tell the clients are going to get a piece of it too. That there's genuine love, compassion, concern, and all those things. And I feel that when I go out to y'all's place. That's why I like going. Anytime, the reason Matt's not been out there on a transport is because usually I just gobble him up and say, take that guy, I'll go out there and see everybody.
Yeah, I need to get out there, for sure.
Man, that's why I never left Neartown. I mean, I showed up as a guest, and I never left. I mean, I've stayed in treatment, and I've just remained there and just changed roles, But I got there, and I felt like I was at home for the first time in my life. In fact, that was probably the first place I ever truly felt at home, was in that treatment center. I lived there for 15 months, and at the time they were selling it as a 30 to 90 day program.
Yeah.
And I ended up staying out there, and found a family. And it wouldn't, to leave that place wouldn't be like leaving a job, you know what I mean? It'd be like leaving a life, you know?
I'm gonna give y'all some big kudos too. I transported a guy out there, and he ended up testing positive for COVID when he got there, and he was an unhoused individual. We didn't know what we were going to do. You know, of course, he couldn't go into a residential treatment program with that stuff. And these guys found him a place to stay for until he was COVID free, and then brought him in the door. And that's when I was like, man, these guys really are just about the people. Because, of course, I had to sit in my little corner for a few days until I tested negative. Yeah. You know, but that's part of it. And man, that's when I knew. I was like, man, these guys care. You know.
Yeah, it's not hard to see at Neartown. We make all these videos, right? And we try to be humorous and use the Rule 62. Y'all know the Rule 62? Okay. Don't take yourself so damn serious. Yeah. Okay. So we try to do that, and we try to just relax with it. These guys can tell by what we're saying that, you know, we know from our experience what's going on. You know, we can relate to these guys. When I tell them I was homeless, living under a deck or living in a field behind Walmart, you know, people dying all around me, they can relate to that, which makes it easier to build rapport with them. You know, Andy can do. I'm gonna tell him. And when I first met Andy, me and my sponsor went out to Neartown to volunteer. I had been maybe sober a month or two, and I met Andy. He's from California, got long hair, no shirt ever, and. Jeremy takes us to this church basement, something about church. I don't remember what it was, but you know, I remember Andy. We came out of there, and Andy was like, "Man, those guys." He was still in probably some meth-induced psychosis, I would think. But he said these older guys were reptilian aliens, and they knew that he knew that they were. That they were aliens. So
dead serious,
yeah.
too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Dead serious. It wasn't smiling when he said it. Yeah. So you can say something like that, and you can relate to these guys. They know that we know what's going on.
Yeah.
That makes me think of my first time in treatment. I got in there, and I thought they were putting something in the Kool-Aid because everybody was happy, and all I would do was drink sodas out of the vending machine for like the first week because in my brain I was also maybe in a little meth-induced psychosis. I really thought they were putting drugs into the Kool-Aid that were making people that way or brainwashing them or something of that nature. So I was.
It's hard to believe. It's hard to buy into that. How's everybody happy? I'm miserable. I want to die. How are all these people happy? It's really hard to buy into. You gotta stay around for a little bit to get an understanding.
Yeah, I remember initially having a few little short recovery experiences and getting to know some people that were truly happy. And every time I'd go back out, I'd try to convince myself that it was a lie, that they weren't actually. Yeah. That they were just, you know, that they were actually miserable inside, and that it was all show. And I've experienced it. It's real, man. Like there's happiness, like we can actually be present in our lives and enjoy what we're doing. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Coming down from quarantine, it was like 10 guys that told me they love me. And I was like, where am I? This is not cool. I didn't like it at all at that point. And it took me a while to get used to it, but you realize that they really do care about you, you know? And like you said, it's a family. And that's what kept me there for the longest time till I actually started trying to work the program. It was the fellowship, the laughter, and the love, you know?
Yes.
You know, every treatment's a little bit different. I think, and I know my view is you get people into treatment as many times as they're willing to go. I know I didn't get it the first time. I know some of y'all didn't get it the first time.
Me either.
Matt's still on his first time, so we hope he keeps it that way. Because relapse does not have to be part of recovery. It is what it was for me.
We'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. You want to know something? My biggest issue with meetings is despite their name, they're never about me. Here at Turning Point, all of our meetings are for you and about you. We have meetings at least 3 times a day, 7 days a week. We are located at 415 Broadway, Paducah, Kentucky. Call 270-444-3621 for more information.
here lately? Have you been having some guys come back? Anything like that?
Are
Or
you talking about like retreads?
yeah,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I'm a retread, so I don't always like to use the term. You know, it's like, oh, he's a retread. you know,
I'm always happy to see somebody come back, man.
All right.
Because I know how difficult that is.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, I relapsed. Honestly, I don't have any idea how many times I relapsed, but I went through treatment 7 times. I went through the same treatment center 3 times, and I got worse and worse and worse every time. I know how much harder it is to come back in, especially when you care about the people and you feel this like personal shame and guilt, like I failed you, or I've had people come in after a relapse and apologize to me for relapsing. I'm like, dude, not necessary. Like, there's no apology necessary here, you know, because that's just alcoholism, man. That's just what it is.
You know. The guy I know the other day, he said, man, I wanted to come talk to you because I relapsed and I knew you'd be disappointed. I was like, did you think I wasn't going to love you just the same? I mean, I've been through relapse. I mean, that's you coming in here and wanting help is big to me, because I know for me, the first time in recovery, it was Department of Corrections. Second time, it was Department of Corrections, but I was not too far from being away in trouble if I didn't get some help. And I see guys go into the meetings sometimes pick up white chips, and I'm just like, man, I wish it was that. I could do that, but I always had that same feeling. But I feel like if you have a safe place that is always accepting, then a guy might not have to go all the way to those steps every time before he comes in. That guilt, shame, and remorse isn't quite as bad. Yeah. And I think that's what y'all do out there, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I've heard that relapse is a part of recovery. I don't necessarily agree with it. I mean, it can be, obviously, but when you think about relapse, I think about relapse as being a return to darkness. Mm-hmm. So when I went to treatment 3 times, and each time I left the treatment center, I never did anything, you know, for recovery. I never did anything. I went right back to the same environment I went to treatment to get out of, you know, so I never really got to see any light to return to darkness. And once I actually put in the action, did the work, you know, I haven't returned to darkness. And it can be part of recovery, but I don't think it has to be.
It's not a requirement.
Absolutely not.
No, I mean.
No, and I'll just say for me, I agree. It doesn't have to be. I think people say that a lot just to encourage people to keep trying. You know what I mean? Yeah. You have to keep coming back, not to give up like, oh, I relapsed and that's it. I tried and one and done. No, I think it's good to have people believe that, you know, if I messed up, this happens, can come back again, you know?
Yeah. It's all about getting back up and dusting yourself off and trying to get back out there. You know, so many times I needed hope. And a lot of my hope came from guys that had, you know, fallen down and gotten back up, especially once I had fallen down and needed to get back up. I always say, you know, I'm just too hard-headed to get it the first time. I was too hard-headed. I had to find that out for myself. So the guys I work with now that it's their first time, I always tell them, be like, look, you see that guy that is the retread? Learn some stuff from him, because he knows what it's like to go back out there. Because, you know, people always tell me, your disease is out there doing push-ups. I never understood what that meant. It meant that if you relapse and go back out there, you start off where you were at, or probably worse than you were before. And it gets real bad real fast. Plus, I knew just enough to make that first use miserable. Yeah. So, you know, it wasn't even like a honeymoon period for me. It was just immediate misery and doom and darkness, like you talked about.
You know, what I didn't realize preceding every relapse was like the seriousness of my situation. That was like the one common, because every time I would end up in darkness or end up in this, you know, people call it rock bottom, I always assumed that was the worst that it was ever going to be. You know, I'd come out of that like, man, I'm so glad I survived that. Yeah. You know, I hit rock bottom. And then what I found out is that it progressively can get significantly worse. It does. I mean, significantly worse. You know, I thought losing material things, you know, was bad, and then I got to the point where I didn't even care about material things. You know, then the family goes away. Then you know, where it went for me was the sanity went away. Like, my grasp of reality left me completely for an extended period of time. And that I can say, well, really the only thing I could imagine that could be worse would, be obviously death or, life in prison or something like that. But losing your grip of reality, man. I remember when I came into Neartown, I was probably, Mike told that little story about the aliens, and that's funny, but that was really where I was at. Man, I was carrying around a set of keys for my first, 2 or 3 months at Neartown. Every day, end of the day, you take your keys out of your pocket, you put them on the dresser at night, go to bed, next day you get up, put your keys in your pocket. I was 2 or 3 months sober before this one day I put my keys on the dresser, and I look at them and I realize that none of those keys actually unlocked anything. And I had been carrying them for a really long time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to laugh, but it's just
it is funny.
It's funny, but was when this stuff, and it really helped me, man, because it really I started to lose trust in myself, which was a necessary part of the process. Like, as long as I had some sort of hope in myself, some sort of belief that I could do this, or that I had some sort of control, then I was destined to go back. But then I got to that place where I just didn't even believe my own stuff anymore. Yeah.
I know for me, the last time I went to treatment, I had gone before because the Departments of Corrections sent me. I had gone, tried to get sober for Mom, and I've tried to get, but I had never really, when I look back at it, I don't know if I ever really worked step one. I just didn't truly believe that I was powerless. And, but that last time I went to treatment, I was in the detox room, staring in the mirror. I did not like the person I was staring at, and I was completely and totally, I was like, obviously you can't do this on your own. You've tried absolutely every way how to do this. I tried to take pieces from the book and use just a little bit, but still leave a certain way and not be a real spiritual individual. This time I have completely changed my life in so many aspects that I can't talk about them all today. But for me, I had to come to the point where, you know what, I'm tired of living the way I'm living, so I'm willing to do whatever it takes, and I know I can't do it on my own. Yeah. I had to get there.
Absolutely. I remember the first time that I went to treatment, I had a lot of issues, we'll call them. When I got to treatment, I realized it was kind of like a high school setting. I really got confused when I pulled up to treatment. There were females there. They were all playing volleyball, and I immediately knew there was no chance of me succeeding. I wanted to be Romeo. I wanted to be the smartest guy in the room. I wanted to be the coolest guy in the room, the toughest guy in the room. So there was just no getting through to me. It took me a couple times, and a couple of people actually that I'm still very close with. Step one, can you identify with step one? If you can identify with this, that you have no power of choice or control, you can't stop, and you can't keep from starting. Buddy, you're going to need help. You know what I mean? You cannot do this alone. Once they broke it down, in that kind of manner, I was like, okay. So the next time I went to treatment, I remembered what they said. I was badly mangled, like the book says. The book doesn't mention a bottom, but for me, the bottom was it was internal. You know what I mean? It was an internal bottom. I didn't have anything, but several months prior to hitting that, so it wasn't external. It was just being alone with nobody to turn to. Just thinking my family would be better off without me in their life, and I remembered. So I remembered where to go, so these people that are retreads, as we call them, we plant seeds for those guys like they did me, and they'll remember, they'll know when they are ready, they'll remember where to go, whether it's your place or ours or wherever.
I have a disease that's always telling me I don't have a disease.
Yeah, man.
And for me, and I think that's why I talked about it last time too, but I'm always going to talk about it. Narcan is so important today.
Oh, yeah.
Because most of the time, guys don't get it their first time. And unfortunately, so many of the drugs today are not what they're supposed to be, or even if they are what they're supposed to be, if you use them like I did, OD is probably going to happen. Mm-hmm. So we need Narcan I think it should be in every stairwell, every car, every school, every bathroom at a gas station. That's my personal belief, and I wish that was the way it was, but it's not. But I always say, if you don't have Narcan, because you never know, you might be the one person to save somebody's life. And that's just having it in your car with you, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah. And we're trying to get it out there.
We are.
Turning Point.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we do Narcan boxes, so if you are interested in Narcan, please give us a call here at Turning Point. We will do our best to make that happen.
Awesome.
Right.
Well, this was great, man. I appreciate you guys coming out. It was informative for me. It's happy to hear what you guys are doing out there. I got to get out there and check it out for real. Hopefully, Sam will let me transport sometime.
Maybe.
Bring him with you, Sam.
That's what I'm.
There you go.
We'll just ride together.
I'll drive.
You don't like my driving?
No, I want the mileage. All right. Well, we're sorry. We're also on YouTube, but we're also available in audio at Apple, Google, Spotify, all of it. Podbean. Click the link in the description. Mike, Andy, appreciate you guys coming out.
Awesome to have you guys, man. Y'all keep doing the good work. It's awesome.
All right. Stay grateful.
Thanks, guys.
Like and share.
If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction or in recovery and needs guidance, speak with Turning Point's team of peer support specialists by calling 270-444-3621. You are not alone, and we are proof that recovery is possible.